Alright, now that we're high and dry again, well, of course the yard's pretty wet, but at least nothing got into the shop or the garage. I'm real happy to see that. Anyway, I want to tell you what's been going on since the last time we met. By the way, hello again. I always do that with my videos. But before we start on what we've been doing, I say we, I'm talking about Brendan and I want you to help me acknowledge the contribution of one of our good subscribers. For those of you who have been following my videos, you'll recall that these springs go between the blue part of this mechanism tray or platform or whatever you want to call it, and these aluminum rails, and they hold them up in the air, and it, enables the thing to float and bounce around on them. They fit between there like that. Okay, and there's a screw that goes up through this bottom, through the center, and you can see part of it sticking through the top here. And you'll also recall, if you've been watching the videos, that sitting on the top of the screw is this metal fitting. Well, it's not a fitting, it's just a spacer is what it is, tapered. And I needed 4 because there's 2 of these on each side, one that goes in that corner, one in this corner, and 2 in the other 2 corners. And I only had 3 of these. I don't know how the 4th one, it just wasn't there when I got it. Anyway, what I did was I fashioned one the best I could out of an old Heathkit plastic knob that I had, and it was working good. I mean, it formed the spacer I needed, in order to get that distance. But Bobby Tech Abyss, our good subscriber, Bobby Tech Abyss, he sent me, or he made a comment. He said, "John," he said, "I can make you one of these things. I can make you one, and you won't have to use that old dumb knob." I said, well, I took him up on that. I said, "Yeah, that sounds great." He said, "Just send me the dimensions." And he said, I have a lathe. I'll just lathe it out for you." I said, "Okay, but no rush. Just take your time. There's no hurry. Never any hurry. And I don't want anybody ever be in a rush on my account. I don't even get in a rush because of my account." Well, a few days later, guess what popped through the mail? Look at here. Look at here. 2 brand new homemade brass bushings or brass spacers, whatever you want to call it. Isn't that cool? Is that cool? I sent him the dimensions, and this is what he made with his hot little hands. I am really proud of those. So now I don't have to have this old dumb knob. I can put me a nice shiny brand new fitting on there. Look at there, our spacer. Fits perfect. Exactly perfect. Put this one back over here. And this one back over here. And I'll tell you what, they are exactly the same now, except one looks a whole lot better than the other. Nice and shiny. He sent me 2 of them. I'm real proud of them. I'm going to take this thing, I think. I was thinking about putting it on one of the others, but I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to kind of keep that thing handy in my drawer over here. And every time I see that thing laying in there, and I open this drawer a lot, every week, to grab this and grab that. Every time I look down there and I see that, that's going to remind me of the kind offer by one of our good subscribers. And I'm talking again, Bobby Tech Abyss. So everybody, tell old Bobby on my behalf and your behalf that you all appreciate him contributing to this wonderful project that seems to never end. And I'll tell you what, I thank him profusely. Well, we all know what that means, don't we? Shout out to our good subscriber, Bobby Tech Abyss. Since the last video that I put up, a major change has been made with regard to our Tormat electrical selector, the TES. This is the model TES 107. And Brendan has determined that the TES 107 really won't work well with the credit unit, the SPU1, single pricing unit 1, the pricing unit, whatever you want to call it. It won't work well with it, and maybe even not so good with the Tormat. So a change, or without modifications. And there were other suggestions. I think Sparky, one of our good subscribers, Sparky, said you could use a 162, TES 162, with the single pricing unit that I have, or the Torment that I have. But even that would require modifications. Well, the whole idea is to try to get away from modifications or keep them at a minimum. Okay, this would have required, we've already done some, and it can easily be put back to, to a 107 is what it started out with. Brendan said it probably would be better if you had a 106, a TES 106, Torment Electrical Selector 106. Alright, so I went out on eBay, and sure enough, there was a Torment Electrical Selector 106 there. I bought it, it came in, and it had almost every bit of rust that the first one had on, that this one here had. We painted it all up and made it look good. It's pretty darn rusty, but I got it pretty clean. I mean, the latch bar solenoid was all jammed up with rust. You couldn't even move it. But now she's doing real good. I tore it all apart. I didn't want to derust it all until I found out, I didn't want to put a whole ton of time into this thing and find out that this one still would not work, or the modifications that might still have to be done, would not be doing the job. Although Brendan assures me that, it will work. And of course, it could require, now this is the SPU1, or Single Pricing Unit 1 credit unit, or pricing unit. There's another one out there called the SPU1, Universal, I think is what the U stands for, Single Pricing Unit 1. We may have to wind up getting one of those. I don't know. Anyway, it's all been cleaned up, and the connectors are clean, and all the switches are clean, and all this other garbage. Everything's working fine. And I also even put those little rubber things down in there that I had fashioned for the in the last one. See those little flat pieces of rubber? That's important because that creates the necessary space in the hold contacts. Otherwise they would have been way too far apart, because those rubber things were, of course, missing. Might have worked, but I didn't want to take the chance. Anyway, we went ahead and plugged it up and fired it up, and lo and behold, it worked only to a certain extent. What would happen was, when I hit the free credit button, or put in my coin with this button here, everything would fire up, and the latch would release the buttons. I would press in the selection for the song. Actually, I'm over here, not there. I would press in the selection for the song, and when I pressed in the selection, the second button for the song, everything released, with one exception. The selection light continued to stay lit. Now, it did not light until I put the money in, or hit that free play button. Then it did light. But after I selected my songs, it should have gone out. But it would not go out until I hit one of these two sets of buttons, if I hit just one of them a third time. So it took 3 presses of the buttons to get that light to go out, and to get this latch solenoid bar to release, and to get the cancel relay over here, which is on the back side of this thing. Once I hit the third button, then it released, and the delay, the timing relay was working fine. The cancel solenoid is what it's really called. The cancel solenoid released, okay, activated okay, but nothing happened here. It started to do it, but then it stopped. So I don't know. So what we're going to do, Brendan said, well, I'll tell you what you do, John. He said, just get this Torment, tip it up on end. Let's take a look at the add and subtract operation between these two solenoids here. And then let's turn it on. Let's use the what they call the service switch. Put it in scan. Watch this thing move. Let's see what happens. So that's what we're going to do next. Alright, she's plugged in. Let's fire it up. I'm going to hit the switch. Whenever you see me reaching around behind this thing, when it's laying flat and flipping the switch, that's the switch I'm flipping right there. This is the record reject button right here. Alright, we're going to let her warm up. I'll come back in a few seconds. Alright, that should be enough. Let's go ahead and put some money into this machine here. Watch what happens now. You won't be able to see the cancel solenoid, but you might see something else move. Okay, now you can hear the latch solenoid, or the latch bar solenoid is activated. It's buzzing. It shouldn't really be buzzing like that. But anyway, the light is on, telling me to make my selection. Let me sit down here and make sure this thing is in the play mode, which it is now. And we're going to go ahead and select these two and see what happens. I don't expect this thing to move at all, so it doesn't matter if I have a record in there or not. Okay, now see this thing fired up, it started turning. The light is still lit, unfortunately. And until I hit another button, any one of these buttons, that light will stay lit and that solenoid will continue to buzz. Now watch, I'll just pick any one. See how she all shut down now? And this thing will keep on working. Alright, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to film the operation of the add and subtract relay, or solenoids. Okay, here we go. We'll go ahead and hit it again. Make sure we got a good clear picture here. I don't want to hit it until it's clear. Come on. There, that's a little better. Okay, here we go. Okay, again we have our light. This time the solenoid is not buzzing. Don't ask me why. Will the buttons go in? I don't know. Yeah, the button is in. Let's try this one over here. Okay, now she's buzzing. Don't ask me why. We'll go ahead and hit the third button again. Now you can watch what's going on here. I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be or not. Okay, one more time. This is mainly for guys like Brendan and for Harry Hall. Alright, same situation. Keep your eye on the ball when I press the first button. Now the second button should do something. I don't know what's going on there. Now we'll press the third one. Doesn't seem like it did anything, does it? Alright, let's go to our service switch. And we will go to the scan position, which is toward this top, which is away from the slide switch, and watch what happens. This thing will probably take off when I do this. Get a nice clear picture here. I want to zoom in here too. Alright, here we go. Nothing's happening. Now of course this thing here, this trip switch is up in the air. Let's flip it down. Now let's watch what happens when it goes back and forth. It's in the okay, now we're going to go to the scan position. Here we go. You can hear it going down to the other end and coming back. I don't know if that thing is positioned, that plastic is positioned properly or not. It appears to be working okay. Try it one more time. Now it ends up with, the thing that's interesting is the one that it ends up with this bottom cog and the top cog, neither one of them in those two V's that are sticking up there. I don't know how it's supposed to be. That's my problem. Alright, we'll try it one more time. Alright, it flipped around. It opened up this set of contacts. Once it makes a second run, it opened up this set of contacts just like it's supposed to, and it stopped it. So, you know, having never worked on any of this stuff before, it's clean, it's oiled, it works fine as far as mechanical operation goes, but is it working properly? Anyway, we're going to go ahead and knock it off right there, and I'm glad this sort of has come up, because Brendan, I'm sure, and Harry will come up with some good stuff on this, and that'll give me a chance to find out why channel 1 on the amplifier is not working. I have to go down through that. I'm getting some very, very, very minimal noise out of the second speaker. I've switched the wires around, and of course, you know, it's not the wires, it's not the box. It is something in the amplifier. So that's what's been going on, folks. Hope I didn't bore you to death too much. Until next time, this is John.